Are you or a loved one disabled? Do you feel alone, lost, and confused as to how to win your Social Security case? If you're watching this video, it's probably because you have so many questions and you're desperately looking for the answers. Hi, my name is Avi Libovic, and I'm the owner at Benefits for All and the lead attorney at Avi Libovic and Associates. Over the course of my 20-year career, I've overseen the processing and screening of over 500,000 disability cases, working with the largest hospitals, neighborhood clinics, primary care physicians, and even individuals who had no access to care at all. My strategies for how to win the case have made me one of the top experts in Social Security law in the entire nation. My life and my career were going great. And then one day it all came crashing down. It started first with some abdominal pains. And before I knew it, I'd been admitted to the hospital several times and I required multiple surgeries. I found myself unable to work and disabled and in desperate need of my own benefits. I understand exactly how you feel. I was in your shoes. And I'm going to take you through the process and help you and give you everything that I know so that you can win your case. I'm recovered and I'm back at work. And I have a newfound passion for helping disabled people because I myself have been there too. Call our office today for a free screening and to see how we can help you with your Social Security case. At the same time, enjoy these videos and webinars that we've prepared to help you understand how to win your Social Security case. Hey friends, this is Avi Libovic and you're watching another amazing webinar brought to you by Benefits for All, where we teach you how to win your Social Security disability case without having to pay the cost of an expensive attorney. We're still here in beautiful Las Vegas. As you can see, behind us we have at least the sign for the area, the Cosmopolitan. You can see in the distance Planet Hollywood, MGM, as well as the Polo Towers. Having a terrific time over here, and for those of you who are close by or looking to have a terrific vacation, come on down. Enjoy the pool, enjoy the spas, enjoy the shows, enjoy the restaurants. Sometimes there's so much on our mind when we're applying for this disability. We need to nurture ourselves a little bit, and we need to really take care of ourselves a little bit. So if you have a family member who can take you down here and you physically are able to do it, and take it easy. There's a lot of walking, so if you're not able to do it, be careful. I encourage you to do it, and let's get started today's webinar. We're going to talk about one of the most important forms that you're going to have to complete, and that is the SSA. My phone over here instead of having the piece of paper because it is somewhat difficult to read the piece of paper at night. So the SSA 3441, which is basically called the disability report. So when do we use this disability? When your case gets and you want to request a reconsideration or request a hearing, there's many things you're going to need to fill out, and the disability is one of the most important things you're going to have to do, and that is the application gets denied, either if you have a request for hearing or if you want to file a request for hearing. Okay, so let's go ahead now, and all of you should be able to either download a SSA 3441 either on the side of the menu, or you should download it from ssa.gov. Or just go to Google and put SSA 3441 and it will show up. So let's look at it over here. I encourage you all again to take out your forms, take out a piece of paper, take some or sit with someone who's going to help you do this, because this is a very, very important form and you need to get it right. So I'm going to go through this line by line, box by box. Section 1 is really just information about the disabled person, whether it's the name, the Social Security number, the daytime phone number, an alternate phone number, or an email address. This is very important. I've said this multiple times before in some of the other webinars. I'm going to say it again over here. You have to remember, if you're using this 3441, that means that you are either requesting a reconsideration or you're requesting a hearing. And that means that somewhere between 6 or 9 months have already passed if we're requesting a reconsideration, right? And if you're requesting a hearing, not only did you have the 6 or 9 months for the application, you then had another 6 to 8 months for the recon, or maybe 4 to 6 months, it depends your state. So you're about a year and a half out. So some of the numbers, telephone numbers or addresses, which we're about to get to, which you may have provided to SSA many, many months ago, may be stale. They need to be updated, and for that reason, they give you an opportunity to give your updated phone number and an updated email. If you don't have an email, you should borrow a friend's email. But these days, if you're able to get to a corner coffee shop where they have free Wi-Fi, or if you're able to go to a internet cafe, if you're able to go to an internet cafe and utilize their computer or a public library, you should try to get a free Gmail account or a free Yahoo account or whatever account you like. They're free, they don't cost anything, and it's important to have one these days. Let's keep going. Section 2, contacts. Once again, we're going to be updating our name and our mailing address. Some of us may have gotten married, may have changed our name. If that's necessary, then you need to go ahead and you need to do that. They're going to want to know and find out if you can speak English or not. This is very important because they want to make sure that the paperwork that you receive is in a language that you understand, because if it's not in a language you understand, then you have an appealable argument over that can be made, and they want to make sure that you really do understand your rights. So if you don't speak English, and if you need something else, you should go ahead and this is the place to mark it. It's going to ask you who's completing the form, and you can just mark that accordingly. It wants the name, the mailing address for that person, as well as phone numbers and the relationship that you have. These are all pretty much straightforward questions, and I don't see any of you having a difficult time with these, but let's keep going forward. At some point you're going to go ahead and you're going to have to now get to the medical condition. Now the medical condition, again, you have to understand a lot has happened over time, and you need to update SSA again if anything has changed, and more importantly, or as importantly, excuse me, it's very late at night here, as importantly, is you need to understand that some of the things that you write over here, the judge may use some of your own words against you later on at the hearing. What do I mean? I think in other webinars I've talked about people who in this disability report, it asks what do they do during the day, and they say that they work on their car, or they go jogging, or they do exercising, or they ride a bicycle. Now the judge, I've seen it written in the decisions, you can't come to hearing and say you can't move, or everything is hurting you and you're totally disabled, but at the same time you're writing on this disability report that you're planting in the garden, that you're, like I said, volunteering your time at a local, oh goodness, you're volunteering your time at a local, charity for an exorbitant amount of hours. You're become an automotive repairman on your side. Even if you're not getting money, it's become a hobby of yours. You have to be very careful what you write. So it's going to ask you again your medical conditions. Has there been any change? I think that in every one of these you want to make sure that you let them know that there has been a change. Obviously, if there hasn't been a change, then you're just going to mark that there isn't a change. But normally most people, their conditions are generally going to get progressively worse as they get older, as time goes by. Excuse me. I probably have to redo this whole webinar because of the yawning. I'm very, very tired. I've been driving all day as I go from coast to coast, but let's keep plowing forward, and I apologize in advance if my eyes look tired or if I'm yawning, but it's very late at night. Again, it's going to ask you if there's new conditions, you need to update them. And similarly on section 4, your medical treatments. Your medical treatment is also very important. You may have moved doctors, you may have moved hospitals, you may have not necessarily moved doctors, but you may have added on additional doctors, okay? You don't have to just change doctors, but you can add on additional doctors, and this would be, again, the place where you would go ahead and do that. They're asking if you have any of the names that you used. My goodness. They ask if you have any of the names that you've used, and again, you may have gotten married, your name may have changed. Different things may have happened in your life where you may have wanted to change your last name. This would be the place to go ahead and do that. And again, they're asking you if you've seen any doctors, or if you've had any future appointments. You definitely want to let them know, and the reason you want to let them know again is because that means that they're going to anticipate updated medical records, and that is something that you definitely need to have by your side. It's going to ask you if your medical condition is physical or mental. In some cases it might be both, so you want to check off both of those. And they basically then are going to go ahead and they're going to give the following sections to now go ahead and list out specifically the name of the facility, the phone number, the address, the city, the name of the healthcare provider. They may ask you when your first visit was, excuse me, oh my good, you see, very difficult. They may ask you when your first visit was and when your last visit was. They're going to ask you the emergency room if you've been there. These are all terrific questions, and you want to, if you are a poor historian of your own memory, you want to go ahead and consult someone in your family or a caretaker who may know the answers to some of these questions. And they distinguish even between going to the ER and staying overnight. When you do go to the doctor, they're going to want to know again, what medical condition did you go there for? You may have a medical condition where your disability that you're arguing about is, let's just say, something dealing with mental, schizophrenia or major depressive syndrome, but you went to the emergency room for your ankle. Now, do they need to know that you went to the emergency room for your ankle? You can tell it to them, but is it relevant in any way to your case about your schizophrenia or your depression? Absolutely not. So tired. I see this is going to have to be the last video that I do tonight. They're going to want to go through biopsies, blood tests, breathing tests, EKGs, EEGs, hearing tests, HIV, IQ testing, speech and language testing, if you had an MRI scan, if you had a treadmill, a vision test, the treadmill's a stress test, or any other type of test, they're going to want to know the dates of the test. And again, these are all essential that you have them all down. It shows that you've gone out of your way to get special treatment, that you've had a specialist look at you, that you've conducted tests. If you're looking at these dates and you're finding actually that the last time you had some of these tests done on you is maybe several years ago, you need to ask yourself, how valuable are those scores from several years ago? It's nice that you had an MRI or an X-ray or you had some type of blood test or breathing test, but if it's from 5 years ago, what's the value? What's the weight of that evidence? You may want to consider going ahead and getting down to a clinic or even going to the emergency room if you have to, or calling your doctor to get some updated treatment. It's going to continue beyond that, and it's going to go further again to ask additional questions on page 4. The similar thing is going on page 5. It's just giving you opportunities to go ahead if you have multiple doctors, which most people do. And it really isn't until you get to page 6, if you're following along with us still, we're starting to ask some additional questions. In this case, since you last told us about your other medical information, does anyone else have medical information about any of your physical or mental conditions? Now, I've represented so many people over the years, and I want to open your mind up to some examples because you need to have everything in mind. Let's start first with a workers' comp case. If you had an attorney who helped you on a workers' comp case that's related again to the disabling condition, you need to let them know that, yeah, there are medical records from a workers' comp case. Excuse me, even if it was, a one-time review, a one-time examination by one doctor that was maybe hired by the insurance company, you need to let them know. A second scenario of other medical records that people forget about sometimes is if someone was in jail. Now, I know that that doesn't apply to everyone, but if you were in jail and you received treatment in jail, you're going to have to contact, if you're representing yourself, the prison to make sure that the medical records are requested. Okay, that's essential. It's essential. These records are so important. You will not win your case without the records. If there's one thing you take away from this webinar, besides for how to do your 3441 disability report, you need to understand that your medical records is the key to your case. Okay, they've listed over here again insurance companies, vocational rehabilitation services, like I said, workers' comp, jails, maybe another attorney. If you had another attorney before you decided to do this on your own, you need to call that attorney. And then it's basically pretty much pretty standard going down the rest of the page. They want to just basically know the address in the city and the name of the contact and, you know, the date you first contacted them and the last date. Medications. Medications are also essential. If your doctor wrote down medications in your medical records, you have to understand that Social Security Disability Determination Services, right, they are going to look at every page of your medical records, and they're going to identify which medications you're taking. And then they're going to make sure to see if you're in compliance with your doctor's orders and taking your medication, or if you're not in compliance with your doctor's orders and not taking the medication. If you've updated your medication, you need to update SSA. If you've changed your medication or the dosage amount, you need to update it. Do the best you can to try to spell out the words. I recommend that you actually go to your medicine cabinet and pull out your medicine bottles and go ahead and copy the medicine bottles to determine the name of the medication, the doctor who prescribed it, the reason for the medicine, and any side effects that you have, as well as the milligrams. Now, I want to tell you a personal story from me. I've been taking some medications for obviously something that I've been dealing with. Not a big deal, let's say high blood pressure, and I couldn't remember when I started taking the medication, if it changed along the way. So you know what I did? I actually called my pharmacy and I said, do me a favor, can you list me out all the medications that I've been taking and prescribed for me? And they said, sure. How far back do you want to go? I said, I don't know, give me 2 years. You know, give me 3 years. You may want to call your pharmacy and verify for them
because there's so many medications that we take, that we try, that we chase around. You want to make sure SSA has all of those, okay? Now, the next section, when we're going on to page 7, is a very important section, and this is called activities. I made a reference to this a few minutes ago when I talked about personally being in hearings, the judge going ahead and opening up a series of questions to the claimant at the hearing, putting heavy pressure on the claimant, sometimes very firmly, or sometimes the questions are in a very attacking mode, and they want to know what are your daily activities. Now, in some cases, when we're talking about daily activities in other webinars, we're talking about cooking, cleaning, dressing yourself, taking a shower, handling money, transportation. Those are usually what they call daily activities of daily living, ADLs. In this case, it's acting a little bit more over here, and it's really wants you to go into like how you spend your day. What are the activities you're doing? If you're riding a bicycle, and that's something you probably shouldn't be doing if you're disabled, you know, you shouldn't lie to them, but you have to think very carefully, like, if I'm riding a bicycle, should I be applying? You don't want to lie, but at the same time, you need to ask yourself, are my activities reflective of a person who's disabled? In one of the other webinars, I told a story of a professional BMX, dirt bike racer who got injured. And while he was healing, he couldn't compete on the circuit, so he wasn't earning SGA, right, substantial gainful activity, but he was practicing, at the track 3-4 times a week. So the judge says, oh, okay, so what does practicing mean? I'm doing flips, and I'm moving around, and turning, and flying through the air, whatever you can imagine with these motocrosses. That's what this guy was doing. And the judge looked at me and says, there's no way you're disabled. Don't tell me that you broke your collarbone and that you can't move when you're out there doing all these tricks. So again, I've seen judges look at the hearings at people's fingernails, and if they see that there's oil or mud, or if a person's a laborer and their hands are dirty, the judge will, even if you're not mentioning it, they will say, I see your hands are dirty over there. What's going on? Are you working? So you have to want to make sure that when you fill out your 3441, your disability report over here, that it's going to align, it's going to support, it's going to match up what you wrote in the 3441 with your day in court, if you make it that far. Hopefully you won't hopefully get approved before, but you have to make sure that everything is reflective, and you have to be prepared to answer anything that you wrote in this 3441 at the hearing. I want to pause for a second. For those people who do have a hearing, at some point you're going to get your exhibit file from the Office of Disability Adjudication Review. That's the ODAR office. And in the exhibit file, it's going to have everything that you've submitted to the ODAR for the judge to review. And it's not just going to be your medical records, but it's also going to be things like all the forms that you filled out, the 3441. If you're getting ready to a hearing, if you're getting ready to go to a hearing, I strongly recommend that you review that exhibit file very, very well on your computer, and you take the time even to go through the disability reports and see, what you wrote down, because you need to refresh your memory before you go into a judge to make sure that you're prepared and have an answer prepared in your head to update the judge as to your information that you put down in a 3441. It then goes into, again, education, work and education, which is Section 8. They're going to want to check again. It's been 8-9 months if you've started to work again. If it does, if you have started to work and it does show that you've worked again, they're going to want to look to see if you're applying for SSI, were you over SGA? Even if you're applying for SSDI, right, Social Security Disability Insurance, if you went over the SGA, you're still going to have a major problem. So you can work, but it's got to be way below the SGA level. And if you don't know what the SGA level is, I strongly recommend that you download that webinar. Just click on the side of the page and you can check it out. They're going to want to ask if you've been to any special job trainings, trade schools, or any other type of vocational schools. Some of us have special training as an electrician, or maybe we received a special license as a, what's it called, someone who does the cosmetics, an esthetician, right? Someone who does the skin. Maybe we received special training as a craftsman or something like that. A teacher. You want to make sure that that's down over there. But again, you have to understand that you're not necessarily tooting your horn to say, oh, look at me, I got all these extra, certifications. I mean, you're doing that, but you have to understand that, and you should be proud of what you accomplished. It's terrific that you have that extra training. You have to understand that what that does is it makes you more employable in the national economy. So for those of you who have gone ahead and have downloaded the 5-step sequential disability evaluation, which explains how the judges go through and will determine if you're disabled or not, you'll remember the 5 steps are: number 1, are you earning SGA? Number 2, do you have a severe impairment expected the last 12 or more months? Number 3, does that impairment meet or equal the listings, or a combination of meet or equal the listings that are on the Social Security listing website or the book? Number 4, can you return to your old job? And number 5, if you can't return to your old job, is there any job you can get in the national economy? When you go ahead and you say you have special training and special education, you have to understand that at the hearing, because you have special training and you're more skilled than the regular person, that's going to show that you have a potential to get more jobs. So you have to be careful, or you have to at least refresh your memory again as to what you wrote in this 3441 before you go into a hearing. They're going to want the name of the school, the counselor, the city address. If you're doing this online, sometimes it's cumbersome to get that information, so you may want to go ahead and download the form before you get online, so that way you have all the information by the time you're ready to fill this out online. And then finally we get to really the last page, which is really just remarks. And that's your place to go ahead and explain in your own words what exactly is going on with you. That if a surgery planned, if you feel that something is going on that is essential to your case, right? It is essential to your appeal. Remember, this 3441 is used as part of your appeal packet, either the reconsideration or at the hearing level. So it's also only used on medical denials. It's not used on technical denials. So the 3441 is very, very important. I encourage you not to rush through the paperwork. You don't have to have the best writing. It's okay if your writing is a little sloppy. My writing is. But you have to make sure that it's at least legible. You don't want whoever's reading this to strain and have a difficult time reading what you wrote and then maybe saying, I can't even read it and just moving on. That's not what you want. So take the time to write it out nicely. If you're typing it, take the time to type it online. And you should be okay if you follow this webinar and you listen to some of the key points and strategies that I've given you, namely being very careful what you write down and understanding that what you write down is going to come back at some point in the hearing, and the judge will ask you about this. You need to refresh your memory. Once again, my name literally represented over 100,000 claimants. Okay, there are not that many practitioners out there who have represented over 100,000 claimants. How was I able to do that? Well, I was coming out of a very big office. I had county contracts. I've seen it all, okay? And these are the techniques that the professionals and the attorneys are using at the hearings and through the eligibility and appeals process. And I'm giving it to you. And there's more that I'm giving to you that's available for you to download and to learn and to listen. And you have to take the time to do this, because otherwise, if you go and hire an attorney, you're going to pay either 25% of your back fees or $6,000, whichever is less. You can go online here for a very reasonable, affordable price. You can subscribe and you can download and you can get the videos and start watching them instantaneously. The amount of money that you'll save, the knowledge that you'll accumulate, and the feeling of control and power that you understand your case, you can't put a price on it. That's priceless. Anyways, I encourage you to watch the webinar. My name is Avi Libovic. Again, you can come and check us out on www.andbenefitsforall, www.andbenefitsforall. Call our office for a free screening to see if we can help you out. And until we meet again, my friends, come check out Las Vegas. Come check us out on the internet. My name is Avi Libovic, and I wish you the best of luck. You're going to be good. Fantastic.